Lauren Yeates from Rave here, and today we're chatting over Skype with Adam Ladell, who you may remember from The Voice Australia last year. Hi Adam, how are you going today?
Hi. Yeah, I'm very good. And yourself?
I'm fantastic. Welcome to Rave It Up. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
And since this is your first time on the show, we'd all love to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, probably. So,
yeah.
Questions to be asked.
And I think we should start from the beginning because that only makes sense too, right?
Of course, yeah.
You have always been musically gifted, I found out. You joined a choir school in South Africa and then attended the Victorian College of Arts, which is like the top art school in the state. But was music what you always thought of as a career?
It's not what I always thought of. I think I was introduced to music at a very young age. At about 5 years old, I started to play piano. So it has always been a part of my life. But I think there was a stage where I kind of thought, you know, this isn't really what... I don't think it's going to be what I'm going to do. I wanted to be a pilot, a commercial pilot.
Okay, that's different.
It's very different, but I definitely think music's the way I want to go now. So
there's no like inkling still in you that's like, oh, I could still be a pilot?
I don't know. I think I've gotten so into music at the moment, you know, having been able to experience what it's like to be in the industry, you know, with being on The Voice and being able to do all this stuff, I've realized how much I really do love it. And it's better than I ever would have imagined.
And for those people that don't know, as you just mentioned, last year you came second on The Voice Australia. Yes. If people don't know that, they must be living under a rock. How was your experience on that show? Was it a bit nerve-wracking?
It was definitely nerve-wracking. I think there was, you know, it was the first time I'd really been exposed to social media. And I think there is a lot of negative things people can say on social media, and it definitely gets to you. And that was something I had to kind of overcome. But I think overall, the whole experience, it was great to be able to learn, you know, the insider kind of things on the industry, you know, be able to meet the top stars of the country and be able to work with them. I think it's priceless.
Jeez. I'm a bit jealous myself. And you were on Ronan Keating's team first, and then Delta used her save card when you were up against Mitch Gardner. So who did you like having a coach best? They must have had two different coaching styles.
Exactly. They both had very different kind of personalities and way of teaching. I did think at first that Ronan was the right choice for me, purely because he said that, you know, he had started at such a young age, and, you know, he was a male voice. I thought that it could help me. But I do think in the end, I kind of kicked myself for not going with Delta from the beginning, because I feel like she was the absolute perfect match for me in regards to, you know, my performance style and singing. So, and her personality is just great. She gets along with everyone really well. So that was fantastic.
Hey, kind of like Ronan, she started off very young as well.
Yeah, she did. She was started off on Neighbours, I think. She's Australia's sweetheart, as they call it.
And you were even labelled the fan favourite of the season. How does that make you feel?
It was really good to see all the articles on that kind of, you know, having the quote of the fan favorite in that. I think it was really good. I absolutely loved being able to meet people and kind of, you know, I think after The Voice, I kind of realized the impact I had on people when they were messaging me and stuff. And I think it was really cool to see that, you know, people were kind of connecting with me and everything. And, you know, my fan base has only grown ever since The Voice. It's at an all-time high at the moment with 27.6 thousand followers on Instagram. And I just hit 150,000 subscribers on YouTube. So it's definitely growing quite fast, and I'm very happy about that.
That's good. It's a good platform to, you know, start raising awareness of certain things. And
exactly.
I've got to say, you're so talented and such an inspiration and role model. But what I respect about you even more is that you also have Tourette syndrome, but you're still living a dream. So I really take my hat off to you.
Thank you so much. I think that's the most important thing, is that, you know, whether you have any type of disability, I think the biggest thing is to realize that, you know, you can still do what you want to do. You can still achieve your dreams. And it did take a while for me to kind of accept that. When I was first diagnosed, I was very in a bad place. You know, I kind of thought my life was over and everything was going downhill from there. But as I started to kind of see the positive sides of it, and, you know, I can use it to kind of help other people, it kind of became a bit more I accepted a bit more and realized that you know, it's not going to stop me from doing anything.
Yeah, because Jess Tom ended up being a bit of an inspiration to you at the beginning, didn't she?
Completely. When I first was diagnosed with Tourette's, the first documentary I watched was actually the Channel 7 documentary on Tourette's with Jess Tom in it. And that was absolutely wonderful, because the way that she kind of took on the disorder and, you know, she didn't let it get to her, that was inspiring to me, because I thought, you know, if she can look at her disorder this way and not really worry about it that much, then why should I do the same? And, you know, to be able to meet her, you know, this year it was actually, it was a dream come true. It was the most, I cried a lot because it was kind of, you know, she was such a big inspiration to me. It was really great meeting her.
And that obviously touched her heart as well. Yeah. And I definitely have learned a lot about Tourette's from you. And I heard that you can actually hold your tics in for a small amount of time.
I can, yes. I do it whenever I need to inside a serious situation. So if ever there's, you know, say I was inside a mass at my school or something and I had to hold it in, I would, because it's not always, you know, the most appropriate thing to do. It is difficult to hold it in, but sometimes it's necessary, and you can hold it in for a certain amount of time, but then you have to let it out. It builds up, and when it does come out eventually, it's much worse than it was before. So I try not to hold it in because it makes it worse. But
because you even just got your braces off as well, and you had to do it when you got it on.
I'm very happy. I've had to, you know, hold in my tics when I'm going to the orthodontist and stuff to get all that done, because obviously if you're getting brackets put on, you're kind of jerking your head around. It's not going to go very well. So
yeah, it could definitely go the wrong way. And I've got to say, your tics do go away when you sing, and you know that's incredible. Music is really the best medicine, and you've proved it as well.
It's definitely, music has, you know, an untapped potential. I think it can cure so many things, from depression to obviously Tourette's, and I think it's one of the best things that kind of happened to me, because music was a part of my whole life, and you know, Tourette's was there in the background, and I didn't find out until I was 15. And the fact that doing something I loved took away it, I think that was kind of, you know, it gave me a bit of hope, I suppose.
Yeah, and just it kind of ignites that passion even more, I'd say.
Exactly, because the only time you get a break from Tourette's is when you're singing. So singing kind of becomes a relaxant almost, you know, it takes you away from it all, so it's great.
And you've also become really good friends with Cameron and James, who was, yes, I saw in that documentary on Channel 7 as well. And Cameron sometimes has a paralysis tic, which I bet you're really happy that you don't get, right?
I am definitely very happy. I've seen it once on TV before, and I never thought I'd ever encounter it. And to see it in real life, it's scary to think that someone goes through that, because obviously I know firsthand what Tourette's feels like, but everyone has different tics. So for everyone, Tourette's is different. You know, it's not the same for two people. So I think it was fascinating to see how it works, and the fact that he just lost control of his body. It was scary, but I do think ever since I've been diagnosed with the disorder, it's kind of become quite an interesting thing to learn about, because it is quite a complex disorder. So to be able to see all the different characteristics of it and the way people deal with it, it's quite fascinating. It's interesting.
Yeah, it really opened my eyes. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a serious tic, and that's the thing. Luckily, I haven't had any tics that are too bad. You know, I've had the swearing ones and like punching my arms out and stuff, but I haven't had any that I would really call debilitating physically. So I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, you obviously get a lot of weird looks in public, right? Especially with the swearing one.
Exactly, and it's something that you have to get used to. When I was first diagnosed with it, there were times where I would have an anxiety attack on the train, because, you know, I'd be sitting there and I'd swear and say something, and it is the most embarrassing feeling. You just feel like you want to be swallowed up by the ground, and it was a tough thing to deal with. But as it kind of goes on, you kind of realize, you know, you can't help it. People are going to stare. Just let them stare. If it makes them feel comfortable, go ahead.
Is it true that swearing tic kind of, I guess, flares up even more when you're in public?
Yes, yeah, I think that's true with all. Yeah, it's the worst. Exactly, it's the worst time you could have it get worse is in public. With all tics that I have, I think for the majority of people, it flares up even more when you're in public. So if I'm at home and I'm lying in bed watching YouTube or something, you know, the tics will be quite mild. I'll tic maybe once every couple of minutes, and it's definitely very mild. But then once I start to think of it, or I'm in an anxious situation, such as being in public, it'll flare up a lot more. And, you know, the more you tic, the more you think about it. So the more you tic again, and it's just an exponential growth of tics. So it's
and those people that look at you weird in public, even though there's probably a lot of them, do you explain that you have Tourette's, or you just like, whatever, it's your problem?
I do. I do sometimes, but a lot of the times there's too many people that do stare. And it is quite, if someone doesn't know at all what Tourette's is, it is kind of a tough thing to explain to them. I find a lot with the older generation, you know, the people that are from, you know, couple of generations ago, they generally have the least understanding of it. They're generally the most ignorant of it because obviously there wasn't the media back in, there wasn't a widespread media attention on Tourette's back in the day. So I have had situations where I've had old people kind of, give me bad looks and all that stuff. And I've gone up to a couple of them and said, I've got this disorder and all that stuff. Sometimes people don't understand, and they tell you, well, just keep it to yourself. And it's a bit
it's like, really?
Yeah, you can't, not everyone's going to get it, so you just got to deal with it.
Unfortunate. And when I was researching as well, there was a news article, and I wanted to actually check with you whether it was correct.
Let's see.
Sometimes media, we blow things out of proportion. Is it true that a man once threatened to kill you at a train station because he thought your tics were vocal abuse?
Yes, it was really scary. I was standing at a train station. It was quite early. No, actually, I think it was late at night, not early in the morning. It was one of the dark times. And there was a man there, and I was swearing, and I was trying to keep it in, but it was coming out. And I think he thought I was directing it to him. So he came up to me and he says, mate, if you don't stop, I'm going to end your life. And I was like, dude, I froze up because I was like, this is a serious situation now. I said I had Tourette's, but he obviously didn't know what it was, so he didn't seem to get it. He just kind of said, watch your mouth and all that stuff. I just kind of moved to the other end of the platform because, you'd rather steer away from stuff like that. I get that you shouldn't let your disability kind of control what you do, but if it comes to a situation where, it's affecting someone else and could possibly affect you, get out.
Oh, gosh. It's like, man, just Google it if you don't know what it is. And then he's probably old and doesn't have a phone, so I don't know.
There we go.
You can't explain everything, Adam, otherwise you'd be there all day. And you have also said in the past, and even earlier in the interview, that you have been bullied because of it. How do you get through it? Is it still happening to this day?
I think bullying is something that, everyone will experience at some point in their lives. Obviously, some will experience it to a higher extent than others. And I've definitely experienced my fair share of bullying because of the Tourette solely. And I think it's something, in the younger year levels, it generally happens a lot more because, they're generally a lot more ignorant. They're not educated on the disability. In older year levels, everyone's more accepting, especially at this new school I'm at the moment. It's the most accepting school I've ever been at. I feel extremely comfortable there. The teachers all are fine with it. The students are all good. They all know me from the voice and everything, so that was really nice as well. But it's definitely something that I've kind of learned to get over, because I know that bullying will never stop completely because of my Tourette's. I know that there's always going to be people that will say something nasty. You just kind of got to, I suppose, develop the skills to, be like, whatever. There's other people. You can't please everyone.
Unfortunately. I think it'd be a bit of a boring world if everyone was pleased.
Exactly, yeah. There'd be no differences, so...
Yeah. And since this is your first time on Rave It Up, Adam, just to let you know, this is a very positive show and really raising awareness of topics like this and making sure everyone goes and follows their dreams. And depression is something that we always love to discuss because it's getting worse and worse these days. It's
of course.
Really, really sad to see. And it always, leads to people having depression and wanting to end their life. And especially for you, as we've just found out, it's a lot harder for you. And I did read as well that you even tried to end your life, and you're only like 14 or 15, right?
Yes, I think I'm definitely a strong advocate for raising awareness about depression, especially I think depression when it comes to males, because I do think there's a bit of a stigma around, men talking up when they have any bad feelings. So I'm definitely a huge advocate for that. I think it is something that it's growing at an exponential rate, and it's really scary to see that a lot of people are feeling more depressed in this day and age. I think it's obviously because of social media. We have people have these anonymous faces that they can just say whatever they want to people. But yeah, I suffered really badly with depression when I was first diagnosed. I think it was a mixture of all this new stuff happening to me. I'd lost control of my body at the age of 14. It was very scary. And along with the medication, there were a lot of side effects that caused depression. So it all spiraled up into a point where, I thought I couldn't take it anymore. But luckily, I started a YouTube channel at around that time and being able to get comments from other people with Tourette saying how, they experienced their life. I think that kind of changed the way I looked at everything, because I thought, I'm not alone. I'm not the only one suffering with it. If other people can cope with it, I can find a way to do it as well. And I think the biggest kind of medicine for me was helping others. I found that talking about it online was kind of like a diary entry for me almost. So it definitely helps a lot with getting the feelings out there.
That's great. So what advice would you give to people who might be suffering from depression or getting bullied?
Definitely talk up about it. A lot of people who are feeling depressed think that they're the only ones that feel depressed and that no one will understand what they're talking about. I think the biggest thing is to not only talk to someone close to you, but definitely talk to a professional, because there are medications that you can try. I have been on countless medications. Some of them have not worked at all, and you have to keep trying until you find the right combination. I find to this day now, if I am on my medication, I'm happy as anything. But once I stop taking the medication for depression, it starts to kick in after a couple of days. And it's something that I think without medication, I probably wouldn't be able to cope with it as well as I do now. So there's always different avenues to try and cope with it.
Oh, that's good advice. Thank you very much for that. And you did mention the YouTube channel before, and that you've got, I think, over 148,000 subscribers on YouTube now?
I just hit 150,000 about a couple of minutes ago, so I'm very happy. But
congratulations!
Thank you.
And your YouTube channel is Tick Twitch Tween. You're 18 now. What are you going to do when you're not a teen anymore?
Oh, no, that's a question that I get asked a lot on the channel, and I tend to say, on Tick Twitch Teen, we don't talk about that. I always say it's kind of like the first rule of Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. On Tick Twitch Teen, you don't talk about that. Because it's kind of, I chose the name when I was younger, and I didn't think I'd keep going on with the channel. I created a video, and I didn't go back onto the channel for about 4 months. And I didn't expect to do anything with it. And now that it's kind of grown to quite a big, fan base. I'm going to VidCon later this year to meet some of my fans that are into the YouTube creating scene, so that's going to be awesome. But I don't know, I think I'll have to keep the name because I've got the verification tick next to my name now, so if I change it, it goes away. So I'm kind of stuck in a hole now.
You're just going to be the big kid, forever a teen.
I'll be a teenager in my mind, a teenager at heart.
There's no better way to live.
Exactly.
Got to be young at heart. And you do also have another YouTube channel called Tick Twitch Gamer. It's all about your love of gaming, which is awesome. And I saw your video published on July 13, where you were playing GTA Online, and in your garage, there's a car that you purchased in the game like a couple of years ago, which is actually the car that you have in real life now.
Yes, it's really fascinating. I haven't played Grand Theft Auto 5 in ages. I went on there I think the last time was 2 years ago. And I went and I found the coolest car I could buy and I bought it. And I had no idea. I completely forgot that I bought it. And I went and I bought my car a couple of months ago. Went back onto the game and saw it was the same car, same color and everything. I was like, whoa, there must be subconscious or something. But it was really cool to see.
Have you heard of law of attraction? Because it definitely seems like it's the law of attraction.
Oh, yeah, definitely. No. No, the channel, I kind of started it because when I first started YouTube, it wasn't Tick Twitch Teen, it was when I was about 13 years old. I started up a gaming channel called Ruffle Games. It's the cringiest thing I've ever done in my life. It's the classic 13-year-old boy with a high-pitched voice wanting to make these terrible games on YouTube. And I kind of started it as kind of, a tribute to my younger self to kind of, because I'd made it this far, I wanted to kind of say to my younger self, we've made it. And it also kind of gives me another kind of avenue to directly talk to my fans, because it's a much smaller community than Tick Twitch Teen, so it's a lot easier to actually communicate with the people that watch me. So it's quite a fun thing to do.
It's all good. I don't think any of us like to watch our previous YouTube videos.
Oh, not at all. It's definitely something you cringe at.
I'm exactly the same. I can't watch my first few interviews. I'm like, ugh. But it also makes me feel good. I'm like, wow, I've come a very long way.
Yeah, you can see how far you've grown, and I think that's something that I do occasionally, where I'll go back to my first videos and compare them to my latest ones, and it's awesome to kind of see the change. It's really cool.
And you'll continue to grow and grow and grow.
Exactly, and that's the fun part about it. You never know what's going to come next.
And then you'll watch the videos you're doing now and probably cringe as well.
I'll cringe at them as well, yeah.
The world is a funny place.
Exactly.
Now, you do have a new single coming out on the 9th of August called Stacey, and it's incredibly catchy. I love it. And everyone else will too. Did you write this song yourself?
I did. I wrote the song myself, and it's kind of been sitting in like the back of my room for a while because, year 12 is taking up so much of my time that I didn't really have any time to kind of, delve into the song and actually get it made. But now I have got it made, and it's coming out on the 9th of August, pre-order start on the 2nd, and I'm super pumped for it. It's the first song that's going to be released. It's kind of a preview to the upcoming album that I'm recording for 2018. So I'm very pumped for that because there's going to be a lot of songs. There's going to be a reboot to my most well-known songs, so I'm going to re-record that and get a faster version out because everyone, Superpowers, they all love that song, so I'm really excited for that.
Oh, we are so pumped as well. Is Stacey written about anyone in particular?
It is. The girl's name isn't Stacey, though. I kind of used, I've always
kind of makes sense not to be.
Yeah, exactly. Stacey, I love the name Stacey. I think it's great. It's definitely, it's written about someone that I had a crush on when I was younger. I don't have a crush on them anymore. It's just kind of, it was such a big part of my life that I kind of love looking back to that area and writing songs. Because I'm pretty sure both of my older albums, Departure EP and Greaseproof, they are both written about that girl. And it's almost like I always go back to what I was thinking in those days to get inspiration for songwriting, because I'm definitely a heartbreak writer. I'm like Taylor Swift, a male Taylor Swift.
Hey, that's a perfect thing to do. You got to, what do they say, follow the recipe of someone that's doing it right, and
exactly.
You can be the male version. It's all good. And I do also love the cover artwork as well, all the beautiful pinks and white and the girl's face. Did you design that yourself?
I did not. I'm not an artist at all. I think I've always gone to other people to design my covers. I got a freelancer to actually create that for me, so that was absolutely brilliant to see. I love the way it came out. My last artwork for Departure EP was actually created by one of my fans, so I kind of put out a tweet saying, does anyone want to design my artwork? And someone sent me through something. I was like, wow, this is actually amazing. Like, the talent that a lot of my fans have is crazy. Like, I've got a lot of fan pages on Instagram. I think there's about 40 or 50. And they make awesome edits. But one of the latest ones is called Adam.Ladell. And it's a bunch of pictures of my head photoshopped onto soup spoons, ladles. So it's definitely an interesting one. I've never seen something like that before, but it did. I love the creativity that people have.
And you didn't want one of your fans to design this one?
Yes, well, this one I got the Stacey artwork. I hired someone online to create it because I thought, I want to go all out with it. I'm currently in the process of getting the music video done, so I've hired someone to get the script written. It's looking absolutely awesome. I can't wait to start filming. We're going to start that in about a week after Stacey hits the stores, so that's going to be awesome. We're looking for the cast now, trying to get someone to play Stacey, so I'm very excited about this.
I'll do it.
You've got the blonde hair as well, and that's what I'm looking for, so
there you go. I'm just going to have to come to Melbourne, right?
Yes, right now, let's do it.
Awesome. There you go. You're done. You don't have to look anymore. How are you going to be juggling this with year 12?
It's definitely a tough thing to do. My thought process is that I kind of stopped. I took a break from music in the beginning of year 12 because I wanted to get it all done. But I kind of felt a bit like there was no purpose. I kind of wanted something to do. And I definitely think that, you need to strike while the iron's hot. So I'm taking up a lot of my time juggling schoolwork and singing, but I definitely think it's worth it. I've got a couple of months left until I can focus fully on my singing. And that's going to be absolutely awesome. So I'm extremely excited for that to come.
So are we. Woohoo! And even though you've already achieved so much in your career, what else can we expect from you in the future? We've obviously got the single coming out and an album. Yes. Then what? I
think the album for next year is going to be my big aim. I think that's going to be great. Definitely going to be doing a lot more gigs. I think with my YouTube fan base growing, it's, I think about a month and a half ago, I hit 100,000 subscribers and I've gained 50,000 more. So I think it's definitely leading to some big things. A bigger fan base means my music gets listened to more. Going to try and get it on as many stations as I can, and hopefully, maybe even end up touring the world one day. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
I hope so. Come to Sydney.
Oh, yes. I absolutely love Sydney. That's where The Voice was recorded. So I spent most of last year up in Sydney because I missed out on about probably a couple of months worth of school because I was up there. It's a long time you have to stay, but I love it. The weather. Melbourne's too cold.
Well, let me know when you come and we can meet in person.
Exactly, that'd be great.
Yeah. And Adam, what advice would you give to the listeners who might want to follow their dreams of becoming a singer?
I think there's definitely nothing stopping you. 2 years ago, I was playing on my piano inside my room, making songs myself, uploading them on iTunes, not getting any sales at all. And, all of a sudden, one day I was sitting on a train and I was bored out of my mind. And I saw online that there was a voice auditions thing. So I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And, I came second place. That shows that anything can happen, you know, from being a 15-year-old boy who was just writing music to a 17-year-old that's just come second on The Voice. I think it definitely shows that if you put your mind to something, you can achieve it. So if you want to be a singer, there is literally nothing stopping you except yourself.
Oh, I love that. That was like the best advice. Gave me goosebumps. And Adam, we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview. It's gone very far. I know, I've had a lot of fun.
It's been awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I've learned a lot. But as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
Definitely that, you know, everything is gonna get better. You know, the fact that you've just been diagnosed with Tourette's, you are gonna take that Tourette's and you're gonna embrace it and turn it into a positive aspect of your life. I think that's definitely the biggest thing I could have told myself.
Oh, that's fantastic. And before we go, if the listeners would like to contact you or find out what you're up to, where should they go?
Definitely to www.adamladell.com. You can contact me on there and find information about all my upcoming gigs, music, and everything about me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Adam. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
You're welcome, and definitely love to have you on again in the future. Hopefully next time we can have you here in the studio in Sydney.
Oh, that'd be lovely.
We'll keep in contact and we'll make it happen.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Bye.
Cheers.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Make sure to subscribe to Adam Ladell's YouTube channel and also our YouTube channel. And make sure to check out our website, raveituptv.com, for all our other interviews. But for now, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye!